Alright, welcome back. This is going to be our Season 1 overall review of the live action One Piece. Finally said it right.
You could also say OPLA. Some people would just say that.
Still a mouthful. It's a mouthful no matter how you put it. We're going to go through and we're going to give our final thoughts on each individual episode. Me and Anime D Senpai, we have reaction videos on the channel of our reactions to it. And Cora, she has actually sat down and watched it on her own. We didn't do a review this time around with me and her, so I don't know what we're going to do when Season 2 rolls around. If all three of us will react, or if it'll just be me and her, or me and Anime D Senpai. But we're going to go through, we're going to give our individual thoughts of each episode, our last thoughts, and then we will give an overall season review of like what we thought of it as a whole. And then finally, we're going to talk about how we can save future seasons of the live action One Piece. So, let's go ahead and get started with episode 1. It was a good start. I really liked it. I don't really have much in the way of like any kind of real complaints on it. Yeah, and I mean it was good. It wasn't like great. I don't think by the end of that first one, like it left me wanting more, but I wasn't fully on board yet. I think at the time I was just more hyped up because I knew I was going to keep watching it. I was going to keep seeing more episodes regardless. But it was just like mediocre. Not like in a bad way, but in a good way. And I think it was those future episodes that really locked me in and said, okay, now I'm hooked to this. Moving on to Anime D Senpai.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely follow up on that. It was a really good start for the episode. It was more or less what I was expecting, and I'm a long time fan of One Piece, so I pretty much had my thoughts, like what the first episode could possibly be before I even went in, and it pretty much met those expectations, and actually went past them a little bit. There was some parts that I thought were better than I anticipated. Other than that, I definitely liked the transitions that was done. That was pretty cool. And we're just doing basic thoughts right here, right now, right?
For each episode, or your final thoughts on the episode itself.
Okay, and I liked the maps and the wand posters, how they implemented those. And I liked how they included Nami's first costume. That was a concept art from Oda from when he was getting started with One Piece, so that was kind of cool. I didn't catch that myself, but other people pointed it out, so I was just thinking, yeah. And after the other people pointed out, I was thinking, yeah, that's actually pretty neat that that was actually done. So I'm gonna go on to Cora now.
So my thoughts on it were good. Luffy was pretty funny. I mean, yes, I did notice a change about the anime and the live action, but this episode, on my thoughts, was okay. What else?
Did you have a favorite scene?
I would say my favorite scene was probably when we actually see of Luffy on the mom's ship.
You mean Alvida?
Avita. I think they're the same person, right?
No, very different people.
Big Mom doesn't come until much later.
That'd be like a season 6 type of thing, depending on how they crunch the seasons together. At earliest, it'd be season 6. At latest, probably be at like season 8.
Well, Avita's ship, and that part was pretty good. And plus, we see Luffy ate the gum gum fruit, even though we already know that.
You know, I was actually thinking, when he's eating the gum gum fruit, and during our reaction, I made a point to say it didn't look like a real fruit, but having time to reflect and think about it, I think it was literally probably made of gum. Like, have you ever had one of those blocks of gum that's like Hubba Bubba or something?
Oh.
It looks like that same kind of texture.
I'm still thinking it'd probably more like some kind of cake thing, because that would make more sense.
Yeah, because I thought it was also cake, and because if it was cake, the kid would have been lucky.
Well, that's not really a practical reason. It's just like what's easy for him to consume.
Yeah, but in the inside, it looked like a cake-ish.
Yeah.
Well, most actors don't actually consume most of the food that's on set.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that kid ate that fruit.
They have them bite into it, show them chew it, and then usually they got a guy on the side who comes along with a cut and they spit into the bucket.
Yeah, that's yeah. As far as like favorite scenes though, it's because Cora was asked this, and I just want to come back to me, so that's my bad. I kind of liked the whole scene. Like the two scenes were Luffy meets Zoro, and the scene where Luffy meets Nami. That was, both of those were really funny, and I really liked those. But I also liked the whole episode in general. But those two scenes of the episode stood out to me.
I'd have to say probably my favorite scene in the whole first episode was probably the introduction of Nami, which felt very much like that one scene from Pirates of the Caribbean when Jack tricks the oh god, what were they?
Oh, you talked about when they were like at the start when he and Will are
Taking the interceptor?
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt very much like that, just a quick, short version of it, though. Tricking them onto the lifeboat with the chests and going behind their back and taking off with their ship.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really think of that, but sure.
Yeah. Alright. Well, moving into episode 2. Now this is probably the episode that really got to me and really locked me in because I already kind of liked Buggy from the anime, and here in the live action, I thought he was way, way better, and we've actually had more Buggy than we got in the anime. I mean, to a retrospect, I mean, it's probably honestly a lot shorter, but it feels like more because we saw him beyond his arc or his like little few episodes where Luffy first met him, and then he doesn't meet him again until Logtown.
Yeah, and there's that short little skit that he has that was adapted from cover stories between Arlo Park and Logtown. But yeah, that was just Alvida and Buggy.
Of course, my favorite scene from that episode was probably when he has the one scene that you guys have heard me quote a lot. Hey kids! Or hey kid! Wanna get tall fast? I don't know why, I just love the way he said that. That was so awesome.
Whatever makes you happy.
And this is probably the closest that we'll ever come to having like that sitcom feeling because of the canned laughter and stuff.
Oh yeah.
The audience participation.
Yeah, we actually had talked about that sometime after we watched the episode.
Yeah. So again, this really started getting me into it. We saw quite a bit more. I'm not sure about how realistic the Luffy sticking that tube down his throat was. I feel like if you had tubes stuck down your throat all that time, it would be very uncomfortable.
Well, his body's made out of rubber.
I mean, just getting something lodged a little bit into your throat can make you choke. But anyways, what were your thoughts?
First of all, I want to just start off with Buggy actually surprised me quite a bit. Like in the first teaser, he just came across as very creepy, which is kind of supposed to be the point, I suppose. But when it actually came to actually see the actual episode itself, he was very hilarious. When he was always talking about the spotlight not hitting him when it was supposed to happen, and he talks about that the performing lion not being there as he wanted, which is actually a callback to the manga and the anime. And also, I really liked all of Luffy's names that he called Buggy, like Binky, Boogie.
Now, real quick, the thing that I've watched a couple people react to this, and nobody has mentioned that there is actually an Easter egg in episode 2 that nobody's caught. And that is, like you just said, one of the names. The first name that Luffy gets it wrong as, he calls him Binky, the clown. Now, the reason this is an Easter egg is because back in the Garfield comic strips and animated series, there is a clown that is a reoccurring character in the Garfield comic strips called Binky the Clown.
Yeah, I'm not.
And nobody has pointed that out except for me. So I guess I'm the first. If you don't believe me, you're welcome to go check. But yeah, that is something that nobody else has pointed out. And I feel like that's a direct reference to Garfield.
One thing that I think they could have done better with this episode was like they could have like showed like Shanks like swimming to the boat a little bit, like have like a brief like couple seconds, like he was like in the water and he jumps into the boat and grabs Luffy or something. Because that creates a whole lot of confusion about, like, does Shanks have a devil fruit? And one thing that we learn in this episode is that once you eat a devil fruit, you can't swim. That the sea takes away your strength.
I don't know if I agree with that. They should have showed him swimming, but they should have had something. Like, after he maybe pulled Luffy from the water and after the whole thing with his arm, Luffy could have said something like, you know, I didn't know you ate a devil fruit or something, and have Shanks say, no, that was something else.
Yeah, that would have worked too, after the whole thing about him calming down because Luffy was so torn about him, about his arm getting lopped off.
Because, I mean, it does. I mean, yeah, like you said, he just kind of appears, but he just kind of appeared in the anime too, from what I remember.
Yeah, but the thing is, with the anime, he was in the water, so he wasn't losing strength. He was staying strong, so you could assume like he hadn't eaten a devil fruit because he's able to keep his composure and.
But I mean, I do kind of. I mean, it just seems very strange that they didn't, like, put another rowboat out there or something and have him out on a rowboat, because he swam that fast, that far out.
My theory about that whole thing, because some people don't even know how he got out there, but since we're talking about Shanks, and since I am a long-time viewer of the series, I personally think that he didn't swim or anything or take a boat up there. He just jumped.
Maybe. But then again, I feel like that would fall under other powers, which we won't spoil for those who don't know.
Yeah. So, I think I basically said everything I want to say about this episode. So I guess I'll just move on to Korra.
This episode was good. Buggy, I guess was okay. I did see that he was a clown, so I did expect him to be a little funny. But, I mean, he was at least funny, but not as much fun as I expected. Like, a other person might laugh, but I won't. I mean, and put in 2 of Luffy's crewmates and in cages. Well, at least one of them in cage. But
Not a crew.
Yeah, they weren't a crew yet.
That's what they were saying at the time. They weren't a crew.
are
Keep going.
Keep going.
and they just put Luffy in a switch machine. And when he sees Swish that boy until he breaks or whatever, something like that, I literally expected the dude who was pulling the rope scene to say, but he's made out of rubble.
Yeah, they didn't know he was related to Gonzo, huh?
Yeah. And let's see. My favorite scene was probably when they found out how to stop Buggy, like taking some of his body parts because he ate the chop top fruit, which basically
Keep going.
was basically whoever eats it can go ahead and have. Never mind, you know I get.
Did you like when his hands and feet and his head were all attached to each other?
That was unexpected.
Yeah, that was actually kind of funny.
It was just like this little head, foot, hand guy.
Yeah. And if you see something like that, that's how to stop them. Perfect.
At least you didn't make fun of his nose. Then you made him real mad.
Maybe I did in my mind, but he didn't hear it.
Anyways. You looked like you had something else you wanted to add about this episode.
I just was thinking about an error I made during our reaction. I think I might mention this. I was thinking that Kabaji was related to Mr. Seven from episode 1, which I also enjoyed that scene. That was pretty cool. I really liked seeing that. But it occurred to me, like, after watching the episode and thinking about it, that Kabaji was talking about somebody else that we never actually saw. That was completely unrelated. And that was my mistake.
Alright, well, moving on to save a little bit of time here, since we got a lot to get through. We're going to go ahead and talk about episodes 3 and 4 as a whole, since it's technically a two-parter.
Okay, that makes sense.
The first half, I really liked the beginning. It started to kind of like for me towards the end of episode 3, but it really picked up like in those last few minutes, and then going into episode 4, it felt like a horror movie, which I found completely interesting because, like, I've always been saying, like, I wish there was like a horror movie type anime. And this is kind of an anime going into horror. So, my favorite scene probably out of any of them was I liked the very beginning where we meet Usopp, and we just get that montage of him lying through the years. Or probably the scene where they start to show off that Zoro has no sense of direction. And he said he was looking for the mansion, but he was heading towards the beach.
Which, that would be kind of ironic because the actual fight was actually on the beach in the anime, in the manga.
Yeah. I was very disappointed that we didn't get Django.
I did notice his wanted poster in episode 1. I'll mention that in my analysis video.
I feel like they still could have had it. They still could have had him. Like, maybe he had been waiting. Maybe they could have had even a couple of them. Like, a couple of the other pirates from that ship. But they could have had him, like, waiting in town, disguised as other people. And they show up that night to help.
Thing is, most aside from Django, the only one that Django was the only one that was named other than Sham and Bucci. The other ones are just fodder. They were just nameless pirates.
Well, they could have showed up like with 2 or 3 other guys dressed as cats.
I suppose, yeah.
Since they were supposed to be the Black Cat Pirates. But yeah, and basically they could have been there to ransack and help their boss, but nope, they didn't put them in at all. So, I was a little disappointed. Maybe because, I don't know, maybe since Michael Jackson passed away at this point, and maybe Oda didn't want to feel like he was making fun of Elton John because of the current world climate we live in. So
that actually reminds me of like people who always talk about Django. They always make a joke that he's like Michael Jackson.
Well, yeah, that's basically what it is. He's like Michael Jackson and Elton John combined. Like if you fuse those two together, you get Django. Or otherwise, it's like Michael Jackson fused with the lead singer from Aerosmith, which I'm spacing on his name right at the moment.
Steven Tyler?
Yeah. That could be another fusion to make Django. But one of those two, and you got Django. But who knows if we'll ever see him in the future. But alright, I'll move on to Anime D Senpai.
These episodes were a huge departure, probably the biggest departure from the anime manga, because it did have that horror aspect, which I also enjoyed. That was, and I'm not really one for horror. In fact, I hate horror like 90% of the time.
I'm trying to convert him. Since he's trying to get me into more anime, I'm trying to get him into more horror.
Yeah, good luck. I didn't really care much for the beginning flashback. I mean, it was fine. It did what it was supposed to do. I did kind of like how they had Usopp with his mom a little bit. That even though that was very short lived, it kind of showed why he's doing those lies. Although it's not perfectly clear, but that's why. And the whole relationship with him, Kaya, was done more clearly than manga and the anime, although that was also pretty obvious. I mean, most fans would have seen that coming a mile away. As far as like my favorite scene, I personally like the whole flashback stuff with Zoro and Kuina, although they did miss out on an opportunity with showing or explaining Kaya's death, and I know that they're not going to show, or not Kaya's death, Kuina's death, and they're not going to show a kid dying, falling down some stairs. So that's I think that's something that even Oda decided to do with like the manga. But he did show her body in the manga, but I think in the anime we just see like a coffin.
Yeah, we didn't even see that at all here. We just saw them like it looked like she was already buried or something.
Yeah, we just saw like the traditional like Japanese portrait at the grave site that they have for Kuina's funeral. So I feel like they could have explained that a little bit more. But as a whole, I did like that whole flashback.
Korra?
And I think that's about. I'm trying to think if there's like anything else, but I think I'm just actually just handing it off to Korra. There was one other thing. I do like how they put Usopp's character. He was working on the shipyard, so it actually shows that he's got some experience working on ships, because that's gonna be handy later on. And I think that's about it. Okay, now it's Korra.
So, episode 3, it was good to see the crew go ahead and look for a new ship, because the old ship is kind of broken.
Sinking.
I mean, broken. I mean, that's pretty accurate.
Continue.
And we go ahead and see what was it?
Usopp.
Usopp, that's what I said.
It sounds like Usopp, but that's fine.
go ahead and see the crew. And he then tried to attack. He's kind of different in the anime. I've seen a little bit of the anime, by the way. And what else? Once we go ahead and see the captain of the Black Cat Pirates, I didn't expect him to be a bad guy. He looked good. He looked calm. And he looked like he was trying to protect the kid. Well, not kid, teenager. I don't know what to call. But
well, she's basically an adult. But yeah, teenager, she's, yeah.
But I think this was in episode 3. Once we saw them, and once we see the Coco and
Maid
and 2 other people go ahead and talk about I actually don't know how to explain it, but blah 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 blah.
Did you have a favorite scene from any of those episodes?
I would say
No.
That's what I'm guessing. She can't think of one. So no favorite scenes?
yeah, none.
Okay.
Pass on.
Alright. So, yeah, just quick wrap up on that. That was definitely interesting. Definitely interesting to see Usopp working on the ship like Anime D Senpai said. But a lot of people have said that. That's why I didn't initially say it. So, moving on to episodes 5 and 6, I guess. We'll just keep doing the rest in pairs, since they're all kind of like two-parters.
Pretty much.
I really liked the cliffhanger from the previous episode, getting a good amount of attention at the beginning. I like at this point we're definitely seeing a change in the Garp character, where he's definitely more active. We did get a little bit of Buggy in the previous 2, but we only got Buggy in episode 6 of this set of episodes. And by this point, once we finished these, me and Anime D Senpai had a talk off camera a while back ago, and I had made a prediction that Arlong was definitely going to be the big bad of the season, because it was going to be like he was the one in control of the East Blue, and he was collecting tribute from other pirates that worked in his seas. Very similar to the way, like, if you've ever watched Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales, Jack keeps requesting his crew give him tribute. And so I feel like that's a very piratey thing they wanted to add in. That's never been, as far as I know, in the animes before.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah, didn't you make that prediction just from like watching the teaser alone?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the part like where Jack requests his money for saving him, and the other dude he's talking to, you expect me to pay you for us saving you?
Yep. So But in the Bratier, I like these episodes. I like the flashback. I like pretty much everything about it. I liked this version of it way more than the anime version, which should come as no big surprise to somebody on this couch. Mostly because of the fact I didn't care for how the anime dealt with Nami leaving. Now, I don't know if it's the same in the manga, but I just didn't really care too much for how that was orchestrated in the anime. So I really do enjoy this change where Arlong did show up and then she kind of switched sides. Although, to be fair, I want to make one glaring statement. Again, this is something I've heard nobody mention, that they had to have had at least some time. There could have been at least a good amount of moments where if Nami felt as bad as she did, if she wanted the crew to go on without her, being that she knows how to draw maps, which I get it. We haven't really been exposed to that information yet. But Nami could have made a duplicate of the map and left it behind. And that even...
I don't think she would have had the time to do that.
She could have been doing it when she was in the room talking with Zoro. While she was reading to him and stuff.
I mean, I guess, but I don't.
And it's not like she has to be drawing a super detailed version of the map. I mean, shoot, she could have laid paper over the map and just traced it.
Well, I mean, the type of person Nami is, she wouldn't settle for just some, like, quick sketch.
Well, that would point the crew in the right direction, though.
Yeah, but...
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but if Arlong found out...
Because it was like
Arlong wouldn't know.
It was like her analysis of the map where she was like trying to like make sense of like a stream of water going up a mountain that comes like later at the end of the season. But
yeah, I know, I'm just saying that. And she did have time. There was that time when after her and Zoro were done drinking, they didn't stay up all night all day. They had to have gone to bed at some point. So she could have, before she went to bed, sketched out a quick etch of the map.
yeah, I suppose.
Although, look, somebody else I did watch did point out, they go through, basically how this world is set up. So it's pretty easy to find the red line. You just sail east or west. You don't go north or south. Not until you hit the red line, and then from the red line, then you go south. Follow it down to the intersection where the Grand Line is. Somebody in a different video pointed that out that I saw. I was like, that's actually a good point. I made that same point myself. That I don't know why people would... I mean, I don't remember them needing a map for it in the anime.
Well, they needed a map to show like that there was a narrow pathway that was basically a river that was going up the mountain and all that stuff. Because
I don't remember that.
It's there, but most people who don't have a map would know that little thing is there because from a distance you won't see it until you get really close.
I just feel like that. I mean, if you're sailing there, there's got to be a way to get in there. If somewhere at that intersection where the Grand Line and the Red Line meet, that there has to be a way to get there. Everyone would know you can't. I mean, Nami basically knew you could not go through the comm belts to get there. So there had to be a way at the where the Grand Line and the Red Line meet to get in.
Yeah, and that's the part where they needed a map for, because they didn't know exactly where that was.
But the point is, too, is also, and I think I said this during the review, I don't understand why Arlong needed one, because he came from there, so he should know the way back.
He wanted the map for the Marine bases.
But he already had that. We learned that in the very next episode. He already had it.
Well, that's
before Nami even left, I think, or when she returned, he's like, we know all this, and now we have a map to the Grand Line. It's like, why do you need a map to the Grand Line? You're from the Grand Line.
I mean, I'm just saying what people have said.
Maybe it's been a while and he doesn't remember.
It doesn't change. Not in this world. At least not yet. But anyways, I did enjoy Sanji. I did enjoy Sanji's flashback quite a lot. It was very faithful to the anime. Since I feel like I've gone on long enough about this part though, so I'll move it on to anime, D-Senpai.
I would say I didn't have a problem with the whole Nami bit that Sean has had. It's fine because I've seen multiple anime, so I read that scene as what that scene was, because I've seen several anime before I even got into One Piece. But like one of my favorite changes though from the anime manga versus live action is Krieg does not escape Mihawk from the Grand Line like he does in the other two versions of the series. So seeing Krieg get killed there, that was nice, but it does kind of create another problem I have with Gein's character, who suddenly appears as a Baratier, and he does explain that he was part of a pirate armada and all that stuff, and he does explain a little bit, which was he was part of Krieg's crew, but live action makes it sound like he was the only survivor, and in fact he did outright state that he was the only survivor. But I feel like the live action just shoehorned that in just because it was there in the manga and the anime. I mean, if the rest of the Krieg pirates were eliminated, why have Gein? It could have just been somebody else.
But to be fair, he doesn't, I think, actually say. He says he was part of a pirate armada, but doesn't actually say it was Don Krieg's. I mean, just because we know from the anime and the manga, I mean, to them, it could have just been a different armada.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because, again, this is something a lot of people have been pointing out, people who are fans. How the heck did Mihawk get from the Grand Line to where Baratier is?
He went through the calm belt because he's just that much of a badass.
Yeah, but not everybody's gonna know. And definitely the others couldn't. Anyways,
the Sanji flashback was completely in line with the manga, because in the anime they don't, like, in the anime Zepp loses his leg, like it gets caught like as the ships are sinking. So makes me wonder, like, in the anime, what did he eat? It definitely wasn't his leg, because his leg sunk in the ocean. So that's one thing I like about live action. It's like faithful with the manga on that aspect. I did like the whole farewell between Sanji and Zeph. It was a little different than the anime, the manga, but I guess it's fine because this is a condensed version of the story. So I guess this change with how Zeph was the one to get Sanji going just makes sense here. Instead of having like Luffy give him that extra like kind of push, although Zeph did have a part in it at the end when they were insulting his cooking.
Yeah. Korra?
I guess that's all I have for thoughts.
So my thoughts, were pretty good. If any new people watched it, the live action first, I'm pretty sure they would have been surprised that Nami was actually the bad guy's partner.
Well, people were kind of expecting that since like the end of episode 2 when she was doing that little call. But yes, there were people that were actually initially surprised about that specific reveal.
And that basically a whole big battle of Luffy and the fish name I already forgot. Arlong. Was pretty good, and I'm actually surprised that Luffy went. I mean, because he could lose his gum powers, but he at least should be at least hurt, and I'm not saying bleeding from his head very badly. I'm not saying that type. I'm just saying at least a little bit hurt. And I'm actually surprised that he somehow made it.
I have seen several people who have pointed out that after that, it kind of like knocked that version of Luffy down a peg or two, because he was acting like he's unstoppable at that point until he loses to Arlong.
Oh no.
Kind of smug. Like he could do anything.
Oh, you can do anything.
Yes. I feel like though this fight definitely did show Luffy does have his limits a little bit.
Alright, so moving on to the last 2 episodes then. Episodes 7 and 8. We deal with catching up with Nami, learning about Nami's past, and what all drove her. The scene where Nami gets Luffy's hat is very emotional. I mean, basically these last two episodes are extremely emotional throughout, and I think they did a real good job at that. I really do like the ending scene. I like that. I was really kind of upset, I guess. Not like pissed upset, but I was a little upset that Buggy didn't join in for the final fight.
I mean, I expected he wouldn't because Buggy is just an opportunist and he would never have joined in on that fight.
Yeah, but they captured him, and basically the Straw Hats put him back together, so... I felt like, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the enemy of Arlong would be Luffy, so help Luffy to deal with Arlong. You know? But, a lot of people have basically said that, it is very emotional, and that's because it is. It's very emotional. I like the final fight between Garp and Luffy. I expected, when we were first watching, I don't remember if I said this or not, but going back on it, I really did expect Luffy to at least land one punch on Garp, but no, Garp didn't let him get it one hit, and I think that shows Luffy that he still has a lot of training to do. So,
yeah,
go ahead.
It definitely goes to show that there's a lot to come up in the future. I definitely really liked Nami's flashback, and I do like the scene where she's stabbing her arm. That actually brings the whole intensity. Oh, and I've watched this clip like a couple times, just the clip by itself, of when what's that damn Marine captain's name?
The mouse guy.
Yeah, I can't. Whatever. He doesn't. He doesn't matter.
Did you have the manga right there?
Yeah, I do have the manga. I guess I could just check real quick.
Cora, while he looks for that, why don't you tell your thoughts on 7 and 8?
So,
Look at the camera.
7 and 8 were pretty good.
See that?
Nami's flashbacks, I felt pretty bad for her, to be honest.
You're supposed to.
But I mean, she had a good kid. She had a good childhood.
No, she didn't.
Bonk.
What part of her childhood was good?
Bonk.
When she was with Belmir, when Belmir was still alive, that was somewhat good.
But they were poor and she had to steal.
It was better than when
They
Arlong
only
came.
ate tangerines because they were so poor.
Bonk, 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 bonk.
They couldn't even afford easy, simple things.
Bonk.
Clothes, food.
Bonk, bonk. Bonk.
Then when she got killed, it just got worse. Go on. Talk, Cora.
And, Amy's back to what I was saying. And that big final fight between Arlong and Luffy, I pretty much expected Luffy to lose and then continue the fight and Luffy actually winning in the second season, but when Luffy actually managed to, I guess, technically kill him,
No, he just knocked him out.
knocked him out,
Then the Marines came and they arrested him.
I did pretty much expect that, and those 2 episodes were good. pass on to Dad.
Well,
It was Captain Nezumi was Marine captain when they were stealing her treasure, the money that she had collected up for the past several years to pay all them back. I really liked that scene. It was a very emotional scene. I really thought, you know, like just that performance from the actor was really good. That's probably like, of all the performances in this show, that was probably my favorite. And the whole desperation she had, and stabbing her arm a few times. I just love that whole bit. And as they mentioned, it was very emotional, and it was supposed to be. And I'm glad that scene was actually done well, because that scene could have done pretty poorly. And to echo with Sean, I really like the whole Garp fighting Luffy. I didn't really think that would actually happen, although I wasn't too surprised when it did happen. So yeah. I guess part of me expected it, but whatever. But it really shows just what's out there.
Is that it?
I think so, yeah.
Alright.
Oh, there's one gripe I don't really like about the change with Nojiko and the villagers. In the manga and the anime, Nojiko got her tattoos as a little thing to help Nami feel better, because she was forced to have that Arlong brand on her arm. And so Nojiko, to kind of make Nami feel better, she got those tattoos. So, but here in live action, she just has the tattoos just because. I guess just because they look cool. So there's no bond between Nojiko and Nami with the tattoos there.
Actually, I think Nojiko is the one that alters her Arlong tattoo after the fact.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Nojiko.
And I think she did all her own tattoos. I think that's what that was kind of referencing. In the live action, I believe she did her own tattoos on her own body, so she fixed Nami's tattoo on her arm after the stabbing.
I mean, yeah, I guess there's some bond there, but with Nojiko's own tattoo that she has,
because she does directly go up and ask her how it's doing. So I feel like she was the one who changed Nami's tattoo.
Yeah.
Which she would only know how to do if she had done all her own tattoos on her body.
Yeah, I suppose. So,
it's not said, but I feel like that's the implication in that scene.
I mean, it makes sense.
So, alright. Well, before we go and move on to the next section where we're going to give our full overall quick thoughts on the whole season as a whole, and before we get into the last part, we're going to take a quick break. So be sure to stick around for that. We'll see you in a minute.
Bye.
Looking for something to pass the time? Need something good to read or listen to?
To get you ready for Halloween.
Do you like famous slashers like Jason, Freddy, Michael, or Ghostface? Do you wish there was something new and original that you could read on your phone or tablet? Or perhaps you like to grab a scary book and read by candlelight?
Check out these short stories, written by Sean Connaughton. When a mildly abusive man mistreats his bride-to-be on Halloween night, his neighbors decide to teach him a lesson. A lesson he won't soon forget when he finds himself in the witch's hole. And narrated by me, Tara Klein.
A Seattle detective, Scott Grimes, investigates a string of odd murders. But where this case ultimately leads him, he could never have predicted when he crosses paths with the legal murderer. And narrated by me, Brad Letson.
Join the Dunn family as they make their way to a vacation home for a weekend trip. However, when the sun goes down, things seem to get just as dark inside as outside. Stay with the Dunns and see if you can make it through The Mansion. Audiobook narrated by Dylan Poor.
This story follows Sir Godwin as he and a small group transport a lovely princess out of a soon-to-be war zone, and as they travel, they must pass through some woods. However, things grow darker and more sinister the deeper into the woods they go, and they find what some believe to only be known as the Legend of Fort Blood. Narrated for you by Angela Strauman.
So, turn out the lights, light a candle, grab your phone or tablet, and download your ebook or audiobook now.
Currently available all year round on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes.
So don't miss out, and grab your copy today.
For thousands of years, the world has been protected by the Guardian of Light, or as he is more commonly known, Santa Claus. Over the centuries, factors such as fear and prejudice, greed and jealousy, misunderstandings, betrayal and war have segregated most humans from the magical world of elves, fairies, wizards, and the like. This has resulted in many misconceptions and generalizations of the true nature of Santa and his world.
This 6-book series by Sean Connaughton begins as the current of a long series of guardians is murdered by a group of monstrous enemies recently escaped from an enchanted South Pole prison. These creatures are loyal to the darkness, an evil force determined to exterminate the light in order to enslave all creatures of the world.
Shane Connor, an average young man, suddenly finds himself being trained as the new guardian. As he adapts to his new life among fantastic creatures, he goes on an adventurous quest with a legendary wizard for the ultimate weapon to use against the darkness, and faces murderous enemies like Rasputin, Morgana Le Fay, Krampus, and many more.
Along with his best friend Joe Gomez, Shane encounters politics, history, mysterious murders, new loves, his own hidden past, and racial dynamics among the fantasy races that turn out to be all too real. Their adventures reveal the true nature of the world and challenge the current state of how all races interact.
This series expertly melds myths, legends, history, faiths, folklore, and secret societies into a fascinating, cohesive, comprehensive world of wonder and magic.
From Atlantis to Olympus, from Hades to the moon, and from broomstick races to Christmas deadlines, join the new Santa Claus on his amazing journey. But beware! Will Shane's quest achieve his ultimate goal of destroying the darkness and preserving the light of the world? Or is he actually playing right into a plot by dark forces that will result in his, and our, ultimate doom?
So make your list and check it twice for the Guardian of Light book series. Download your audiobook or ebook today from Audible, Amazon, or iTunes.
Alright, so we're back, and now we'll give our overall thoughts of the season as a whole, starting with me, since this is my channel.
No, I'm going to take it.
I like this season. I really do feel that was a good start for people who aren't familiar with it. Of course, a lot of people have probably said that. I do think they did a really good job of shortening the East Blue. I would have preferred some minor change, which I'll talk about in the next section, but I thought it was a really good start, and it really leaves me excited for the next season. I really also like the fact that it did so well that we've definitely gotten confirmation of a season 2 already, as soon as the stupid writer's strike ends.
Yeah.
Moving on to Anime D Senpai.
I've been following the development of this series for like last 3 or 4 years, and ever since I heard Matt Owens speak, I've been on board. And when I actually saw this season, I think it might have been actually better than I originally expected. So I really did enjoy this, and that this is like basically the first faithful live action adaptation we've had for anime. Although probably Alita Battle Angel might be pretty good too. But that's a different topic. But I was pleasantly surprised, for like how well this did. My biggest shock is how well it did worldwide. It was
because you were very hyped up for it, and I mean, it would have been really hard for this to probably fail in your eyes.
And I guess now is a good time for me to mention this. I think a good part of the success of this live action is the invested interest in the manga and the anime. Of course, the fact about the cast too, who were involved, they were saying good stuff.
Yeah, none of them came out and said, "Oh, I made the character my own." You know, it's like, well, we don't want your character, we want the character. And I feel like that's what some of the problem with like Cowboy Bebop was. Like, they try to say, what's her name? She's like, "Oh, I made the character my own." It's like, no, we don't want that.
I think from what I saw with the clips, they were way too exaggerated, and they were a little over the top with Cowboy Bebop. So, but anyways, it was a really good season, and I am really excited to see season 2, and I'm hoping this continues to do well, because live action is not going to have the benefit of the manga and the anime for much longer. I mean, manga will still be around for season 2 and possibly season 3. But season 1, I really loved it. I really liked the ending. They're going off to the Grand Line. And anyone who's read the manga and watched the anime, well, they know what's coming up.
On to Cora.
Yep.
This season was pretty good. I mean, if Luffy was like what he was in the anime, wasn't serious and was like, he can be serious but not too serious. He was funny sometimes, but
He's serious when he needs to be.
yeah, but sometimes he isn't in the live action. Like, sometimes when he's serious when he isn't supposed to be. I actually expected that for him to be funny.
What, you didn't think it was funny?
Well, he was funny, but he wasn't that funny as I expected him to be.
So you wanted him to be funnier.
Yes.
Well, they tried to make it a little bit more realistic because it is live action. They want to make it more real.
And that's one thing about where Cowboy Bebop failed, is that they weren't as realistic, I guess, because one character that appears at the end of Cowboy Bebop,
And I just want to quickly add here, by the way, for people who are just coming into this, that are people who have not read the manga, have not read the anime.
Watch the anime.
I mean, yeah, watch the anime.
Well, you read the anime. I mean, you're kind of right too with the subtitles.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, it's like watching a book. You still gotta read. Anyways, my point is I want to make something clear. I watched a video earlier today that talked about things that were wrong, and they pointed out the neon lights at the Bratier. And I want to point out something to those viewers who are only watching the live action. This is not our world, as far as we know. At least it's not our current world. If it is our world. But it's not our world. It's a totally separate world of ours. It's like being on another planet. They are a totally different race of people with their own history and stuff. And I bring this up because of the fact they pointed out the neon lights in this episode, and yet, spoiler alert, we get a character in the future who is a cyborg.
Yeah, and also there was actually, not only there was those neon lights, there was actually, like, in that, I didn't mention this in our first viewing of the first episode, but on my third viewing, on my analysis, there's electric lights in that tavern where Luffy, Nami, and Zoro are in. Those are electric lights.
Yeah. So, if you think that this is supposed to be like Pirates of the Caribbean and they're supposed to be on the same level, they're not.
And also,
they have their own history and level of evolution of technology.
And also, the way they dress is very modern, too.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about it after I watched this video, and I'm like, even if you want to say, okay, they should be on that level, well, I mean, if you think about it, why are there no cars? Well, because the islands aren't that big. I mean, you can walk. Most of the islands might take you at most a day to walk across.
Yeah, evolution just required people in that world to use sail ships, but they still have a lot of technology that we have today, and in some aspects, better.
I think also, too, like, they have coal-run ships. Not all the ships are sailing ships. I think there are a few marine ships that run on coal. And, like, paddle... like...
Yeah, there's definitely paddle ships.
Like steamboats. They're not very frequent, probably because coal is a rare commodity in that world. That's mostly used for, like, running big machines on land rather than ships on the ocean. I mean, you basically save money, you know, running a sailing ship than running a coal ship. So, I just wanted to point that out because this was on a channel that was supposed to be, as far as I know, a fan channel of One Piece, and it's like, why are you pointing out the neon lights when we got cyborgs? And you show the cyborg in the freaking episode or video?
Okay, that is embarrassing.
Yeah, so it's gonna have upper level technology. It's gonna have some futuristic technology too. We were actually talking, and I forgot to mention this back when we were recording our reactions and stuff, and I just remembered. This is a basically a what did we settle on? Berry punk?
Oh, I can't remember. It's been a while.
Cyber Fairy. This is a Cyber Fairy style
yeah, there we go. Yeah.
show or story. And what that means by Cyber Fairy is it does have technology, but it's set in like a fairy tale setting, so it's like combining the two. Kind of how like steampunk is like similar to cyberpunk, and cyberpunk is like this futuristic set in like an apocalyptic type setting, whereas steampunk is like the apocalyptic type setting mixed with old Victorian England. So, but that was our thoughts, if everybody's done on the whole season thing.
I think as a general, yeah.
Alright. Then moving on to the last section here. How can we save future seasons of the live action One Piece? And what I mean by that is, yes, we have a season 2. Great. Awesome. How do we ensure a season 3? How do we ensure more seasons beyond that? Netflix, this is basically a direct message to you. And if you, the fans, agree, or if you have your own thoughts or comments after you hear what we have to say, leave them down in the below. Share the video. Help us get this video out to people. But let's start with my thoughts. How can we save future seasons? And I think we need to start with season 2. Actually, I think we need to start before season 2. We need to have 2 more episodes for season 1 added. They need to film these episodes and get them out. And I think that these 2 episodes need to be Logtown and end with the crew going up into the Grand Line. And for anybody who's watched the anime, you know what I mean by going up into the Grand Line.
It means technically going up in the red line that ends up in the Grand Line.
Yes. And then just cut there. Just have that last episode, the second episode, end with them reaching the top. And then at the very beginning of season 2, that first episode, which they could come out, if they did this, they could release those 2 episodes 3 months from now, 4 months from now, then buy themselves 6 months to a year on season 2, because we would get 2 more additional episodes for season 1. And I think that would really help out keeping the spirit alive, keeping this train on track. And then just release 10 episodes per season after that. Okay. Another thing that Netflix you need to do to make sure is you need to market the crap out of this show now. You know it's a very good property. But don't just rely on the subscriber count alone, because if you make a mistake, you're going to lose those subscribers you gained. So market the crap out of this. Release it on DVD and Blu-ray in a special collector's edition. I just saw at Walmart the other day, they had a special edition case that was a Blu-ray of the first season of Loki. If you put out the first season of One Piece in a special metal case, I guarantee you fans are going to buy it.
I'll buy it.
If you put out clothing lines with... I mean, I'm wearing an anime shirt, but that's because Walmart didn't have a One Piece one. So I wanted to wear something anime related, but... And he only got that one from a special event, right?
It was to celebrate the 25th anniversary of One Piece, and now we're in 26 years now.
So, start marketing a lot more One Piece merchandise. Really get it out there. Really get it going. Because I would buy the shirts. I'd buy it for me. I'd buy it for Cora. That's how, one way you can really save your, build up money for these seasons. And Netflix can do that. Oda can do that. He can license more and more stuff to be made, and people are going to buy that. And it can all go towards the show. everything you market, all the merchandise you put out can help support the show. Another thing is reach out to other franchises. Like Sea of Thieves did a crossover with Disney. They just recently did a crossover with LucasArts to do the Monkey Island expansions. Cross over to Sea of Thieves. Let Sea of Thieves have the license to run like Going Merry Figurehead and other One Piece stuff, so that we can add that into our game. If you know me and you know this channel, you know I am a very big player, that I play a lot of Sea of Thieves, and I would love that. I would spend money to go buy that in the shop.
Yeah, and plus, I'm thinking once I get enough money, I'm going to try and build the ship from One Piece that.
Well, they don't have any of the stuff from One Piece.
I know, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try my best.
So you can get something as close as possible. Okay.
But it would be interesting, like in Sea of Thieves, to be able to have a red vest, blue shorts, and a straw hat as a cosmetic. You know, if they reached out to Sea of Thieves and Sea of Thieves accepted, that would be a good way to market for Season 2 coming out. I mean, it's too late for Season 1. I'm surprised nothing happened there. But Sea of Thieves is a game that's ripe for the One Piece world to integrate some of that, you know, into their game. And a crossover between the two would buy both franchises more fans.
I'm going to mention this. This doesn't really have a lot to do with what you're saying. It's kind of related, though. When I saw the trailer when they showed the trailer for the upcoming expansion, Dawn Trail for Final Fantasy XIV, there were so many comments in the comments, not in the comment section, in the chat section of the video, were saying, "Oh, One Piece," and there was just like a bunch of One Piece references, and like One Piece is real, because we're going to in that expansion we're going to an area called the New World, which is basically America, for us. That's basically what it equates to in the game, and we're going by water on a ship, and some people were just saying, just because of New World in the game, and going there on ship, they were just saying One Piece.
So you're saying they should integrate some of the cosmetics and stuff for One Piece into your game too?
I mean, if they can get it to work, that's fine. I'd be fully on board with it.
I mean, if it's just cosmetics, just have famous outfits from the One Piece world available for you to put on your character in Final Fantasy XIV or in Sea of Thieves. Partner up with some of these games, and I'm sure people will buy it. I'm sure people will be on board.
I would.
And another thing, too, that I want to add here, I was kind of saving this for this section, but, it kind of goes back to my Season 1 review a little bit. I'm not saying that the music was bad. I did enjoy the music, but I feel like in future seasons, they also need to expand the music.
Have variety?
Yes, a much larger variety. Because I swear there was 4 or 5 different songs that were just played with different instruments or just played at different tempos, that it's okay, I've heard this song 5 times already. Don't you got anything else in your arsenal? And if the music person is not up to it, maybe bring in some extra help. I mean, I think about movies like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, those had very different musical, scores for everything. Here, I feel like I could go just pay to download 5 of the songs, and I got the entire season. And there's 30 of them, I think, or more.
70.
And there definitely wasn't 70 different varieties of music. It was just, like I said, the same 4 or 5 songs at different tempos.
I'd probably say about closer to 10.
Or played with different instruments and still at different tempos. Either it went faster or went slower. In case anybody watching this is not musically inclined, know what I mean by tempos. That's what I mean. But yeah, I mean, they need to add a little bit more. They need to do a little bit more with the music. I felt that was probably the biggest weakness of the live action. And now that I've said that, if you rewatch it, you'll probably hear the same thing. I'm also very shocked we did not get at all a cover or anything of We Are, which is like the most iconic song of the One Piece world.
Yeah, we did get the instrumental thing when they got like on the Mary and maybe a couple other moments.
Yeah.
There was a little instrumental bit for We Are, but that's it. That's all we got.
I would have really enjoyed, especially in that that one episode where they get the Going Merry. You know, I mean,
I'm going to show you something after we're done with this video.
It could have. I mean, we could have honestly ended that episode with them taking off and then moving from an instrumental version of We Are into a full version.
That would be nice.
But
because that was actually kind of done in Full Metal Alchemist. They start off with a instrumental thing,
but they wanted to add the GARP stuff in, and I feel like that could have came in at the beginning of the next episode.
Well, I think that whole GARP bit was appropriate for that episode because with One Piece, they always have these reveals at the end of an episode. So it's what?
Yeah, but I'm just saying. But these are just my thoughts on how they can get ready for season 2, fix the show, so these little minor things, and make sure that they have the money, because a lot of stuff we've talked about, a lot of stuff why didn't we get Django? Why didn't we get Hachi, we brought up during our reaction? We didn't get those things because of budgeting constraints. If they had done a lot more marketing and put out merchandise ahead of time, they could have used that to have the money they needed to do some of these things.
Well, to be fair, I mean, the budget that they had for this season was pretty dang impressive because, the first episode of, I think, the first season of, I think Game of Thrones, I think they had a budget of, $6 million per episode. That was, and with One Piece, we had $18 million per episode.
Yeah, but still, I mean, even the creators have come out and said there's a lot they didn't do because of budget.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. There's no denying that.
And if they had marketed it more, hyped it up more by selling merchandise, people would have bought it. And yeah, there is merchandise out there. But not that sport the Netflix logo, and stuff. And yes, hopefully, moving into season 2, we're going to be prime. This is going to be the prime season to really start marketing. I mean, I don't know if you guys can't see it, but I mean, I have a doll of Grogu over there. Or as Cora likes to call him,
Baby Yoda! And his name is Baby Yoda, not Gugu.
I will have to agree. It's Baby Yoda.
But, I mean, we need something like that when we're going to introduce a character like Chopper. Unless they're going to go the practical route and just have somebody wearing, an outfit. Which I think... I don't know. I'm kind of split on. It's either going to be CGI or it's going to be a costume.
CGI.
And I say if they're going to go CGI, then they may as well go with the original voice actor for the English dub.
It could be a combination of both, like how they did with Jar Jar.
I think I have an idea, but we can talk about that one later. But anyways, do you guys have any thoughts on anything else to add to this? Anything they could do to improve and save future seasons?
Me.
Not really. I was gonna try to think of something that could be like manga or anime related, but I don't think that would really work.
My idea. I do know that for Baby Yoda, for Baby Yoda, they're gonna do a puppet and CGI. And if they also do the puppet, yes, season 2 will take, especially Chopper, will take more time if they do this, but they should have multiple Chopper puppets of different facial expressions. That's instead of just losing the power of edit and flopping a face on there. I think they should have multiple puppets of his emotions and probably some extra decide if they want to add some.
See, I'm very leaning against the whole puppet or CGI thing. I have a very good idea what I think it's gonna be.
Here's an alternative. What I think it could be for Chopper is they could just make him a human who could has different forms and could turn to because of the fruit that he ate. We see him mostly as a human.
Yeah.
And we'll just see different forms. Like someone even mentioned, for like a straight up reindeer form, they'll just get like a scene of like just have like a regular reindeer, just doing stuff. And aside from like those other forms, like guard point, they can use that probably like maybe a little like practical or CG stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. After my thoughts and some stuff I saw, I'm getting the real feeling that they're going to probably go the route of another direction with Chopper, and I don't think it's going to be CGI. I don't think it's going to be a puppet either. I think it's going to be an actual person in makeup.
That's what I was saying.
And I think when they do the different, like you were saying, when they'll have different things for the different points, but I think it'll be a completely, like in the monsters form that Chopper can take, I think that will be like a totally different actor playing the role. Someone like, I don't know, Dave Bautista or The Rock.
Oh yeah, that would actually work. That would be
in the same makeup. Maybe with a voiceover dub. Kind of like what they did with Vader, you know, a different guy wore the suit, then James Earl Jones just provided the voice.
Yeah, which I actually reminded of the actual voice of like the actual person who wore the suit, and I'm really glad they got James Earl Jones.
But I mean, if they get like just another person who's the same, like, first off, I think they'll probably make whoever the actor is will probably be African American, because it'll be easier to blend the dark fur in with the dark skin, so it looks more natural than to put it on like some little white kid.
It's possible.
And so I'm already feel like, you know, that's gonna have to be a thing, which is I'm okay with. They just gotta find the right kid, someone that can sound like that can act that well. But Alright, so that was our complete review of the entire season. And as we've all said, we're definitely looking forward to season 2.
We doing predictions for season 2?
Not right now. We'll probably do that closer to season 2's release.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we're going to have more videos come out down the road. Like I was just saying, we'll probably do a prediction. Closer we get to season 2.
Well,
rewatch season 1 and probably 1 or 2 more times. You know, especially as we get closer. See if they listen to this video and actually give us those 2 episodes for Logtown and set up for season 2. I feel like that would keep the hype train of this alive.
I don't think we actually need that crutch, but I do see your point. But I think things will be fine as they are, because there is the invested interest in all the different mediums.
Well, see, the problem is, though, if the writer's strike doesn't end real soon, then people are saying, like, late 2024 or early 2025, and at that point, it's going to be like, okay, you know, like, even Stranger Things, the last season of Stranger Things did good, but it didn't do as good as if it had come out within a year's time of season 3. And that's because we hit that COVID thing, and so it was postponed, you know, and it was just a bunch of that stuff going on. And season 4 took freaking forever to come out. And a lot of people were just like, you know, not as hyped. I mean, yeah, it did get people back in. Like, you watched the first 3 seasons, but you still to this day haven't watched season 4.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. And I think now you mentioned Stranger Things, I think season 5 that's in development. I don't know where I heard this, but I think this next season is supposed to be the final season for Stranger Things.
And so it's like, you know, the longer space you put between seasons, the less likely you'll get as many people to come back. You're going to lose a couple along the way. People are like, oh, I watched season 1. After thinking about it for so long, I don't know if I care for a season 2.
The thing is, though, Stranger Things is a standalone property. It has nothing else to go with. It doesn't have, like, another property that's similar that could keep the interest going.
Yeah.
One Piece does.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is if too many people go to the anime, then they may be like, oh, the anime is superior. I like the anime more. Or people, like I said, so some people may not even care whatsoever. They might be like, it took too long. Sometimes some people are like that. You know, I've met plenty of people in my life that, you know, you take too long to do something, they just lose interest altogether, and they're like, The point is, like I said, you release a little bit. If they release 2 more episodes and say, oh, these are going to finish off season 1 and hold you guys over, that's like getting a little appetizer till your dinner's done.
I mean, sure.
So, I mean, that's my thoughts. That's my idea. I mean, maybe it will work, maybe it won't if they wait. But then that's even more this way, we finish off the Grand Line now. We finish it off once and for all, and then season 2 can just focus on getting us into the Grand Line and getting moving. We can pick up right at the beginning of it, rather than still have to have 2 episodes before we even enter the Grand Line. And entering the Grand Line could very well be its own episode. Or it could be half of one episode and half of another. Half of episode 2 and a good 20 minutes of episode 3.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying this gets us into the grand line. It holds up, and they could put this out in 4, maybe even 5 months at most, while they're still working on filming season 2. And I guess before we finish off, I also should address this too. We, at least the two of us, I don't know about Cora because she really doesn't know who this is, but I believe we're both very much Jamie Lee Curtis for season 2.
I'm not overly familiar with her. I just know that fans want her, and I did a little look into her, and I'm thinking, yeah, sure. Yeah.
It is very sad you have never watched Halloween. Ever.
I watched a little bit of Halloween.
Then you know Jamie Lee Curtis.
No, I haven't seen enough to care.
I grew up with Jamie Lee Curtis, so I've seen a lot of her movies. True Lies. All the Halloween movies she was in. Not the Parent Trap. What was that one with her?
I don't know.
But anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you liked, please check out our reactions. Be sure to leave a comment down below. This is going to be the official end of this Pirate Month. So I want to thank everybody who watched our videos this month. Beginning in October, I have some stuff coming out. We're going to watch some horror movies, me and Cora. Well, technically, some of them aren't even horror. They're just monster movies. We're covering like some classic monsters. But I might play a little Phasmophobia on the channel. So be ready to see me get freaked out, because I tried the game once. I've only tried it once, and already it really freaks me out. So I'll be playing solo. So be sure to watch out for live streams of that. I am still working on book 6. Yeah, that's all I got really going on next month with our channel. So anything for you?
There's just one thing that I want to add, because so many people are asking like how much this covers of like the anime and manga. For people who want the answer to those questions, this covers season 1 is the first volumes 1 through 11 of the manga, the first 95 chapters, and episodes 1 through 45 of the anime. There you go. So anyone who is still wondering out there about what this covers, that's your guideline.
So adding those last 2 episodes, like I said, for season 1, that would be what, the other 5?
That'd be...
Because you said 95?
Yeah, that'd go up to like chapter 100. And it'll be volume 12, the beginning of volume 12.
See, that would be perfect.
And it would be like all of this is filler. It would be like up to like episode like 61, because episode 61 is when they enter the Grand Line.
But alright, with all that said, we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.